Let's do a little bit of business with the background of children screaming and playing and dogs barking and Owen being loud and all that sort of stuff.
I am Owen.
See what I mean? So one of the topics that we haven't properly explored yet is foreign trade. So we'll have a look at foreign trade. So first of all, why is foreign trade necessary in Ireland? Well, first of all, we need raw materials with stuff that we don't have ourselves. Things like oil, machinery, cars, different components.
We want bananas!
Bananas, there you go. So the raw materials to make stuff that we don't have ourselves, that we don't produce in Ireland, we need to import in. If you want to have a mobile phone, you need foreign trade. Then Irish firms like the Kerry Group, they export to other countries. That's how they make a large proportion of their money. Like I think, as far as I know, the Kerry Group is one of the largest importers of dairy into the US. So that's huge. Yeah, exporters of dairy into the US. Basically, the Kerry Group is one of the biggest suppliers of dairy for the US. So many firms just depend on export for growth because we have a small home market. There aren't loads of people in Ireland. We're only 4 million, so to get enough to make the money that the big firms want to make, they have to export to other countries. Also, foreign trade provides competition, and competition brings prices down. So once you have other companies providing the same service or providing the same stuff, then they compete with each other, and as a result of that, the prices get lower and lower. And then foreign trade for us as a country, it's important for our economic growth to have foreign trade. So what are some of the barriers then to international trade? There's 4 main barriers: tariffs, quotas, embargoes, and subsidies. So tariffs are taxes on imports that make them more expensive than home-produced goods. Now, being part of the EU, we don't have tariffs on our goods when we sell to EU countries, but countries like China impose tariffs on goods coming into their country so that people are more likely to buy Chinese goods than the stuff that's been imported. Quotas are the quantity of a particular product that can be imported in a specific period of time. This has the effect of discouraging imports in order to help the sale of domestic goods. Then an embargo is when imports or exports of certain products are banned. There's said to be an embargo on them. For example, in 1998, the EU placed a temporary embargo on cattle coming in from the UK because of mad cow disease. And there was an embargo put on Irish pork in Japan when our pork became contaminated, and the Japanese banned the import of any Irish pork products for 18 months until it was proven to be okay again. Then subsidies involve governments giving financial assistance to manufacturers to help them keep selling prices low in order for the businesses to survive. Such financial support to commercial enterprises has ended here because it breaches EU regulations. So there's a lot of one of the big companies in Ireland that would have received government subsidies would have been VHI, and the EU ruled that the government are no longer allowed to subsidise VHI, that they need to compete themselves in the medical insurance industry to keep prices competitive. So what are some of the opportunities for Irish businesses in international trade? Well, the opportunities include free trade, our proximity to places like Europe, our language, our culture, and our green image. Because of free trade, Irish firms have direct, unrestricted access to the vast European market. This enables firms to expand, diversify, and become more profitable. Some Irish firms, such as Smurfit Kappa plc, have become transnational companies because of their ability to compete profitably in international markets. There is potential for Irish exporters in the BRIC countries, that's Brazil, Russia, India and China. Exports to these countries in 2011 were about 4% of all Irish exports for the year. Economy of scales, that means lower unit costs, so the more you can make of a product, the cheaper you can sell it, are possible because of increased production levels. This should enable firms to become more competitive. The service sector in Ireland is now aimed at the global market. For example, the IFSC, that's the International Financial Services Centre in Dublin, and in software and in tourism. So what are some of the challenges for Irish businesses in international trade? Well, because of the severe open competition, only efficient firms will survive and jobs will be lost in any firms that are inefficiently run. It is necessary to train and retrain the workforce so the firm can avail of the challenges of the changing market, for example, language training and IT training. Manufacturing and wage costs are much lower in developing countries. Irish manufacturers must maximise output and sustain high quality in order to remain competitive. Many skilled employees may be attracted to work in mainland Europe, where wage levels are higher. This may force many Irish employers to increase wages in order to keep employees. This extra cost can reduce the ability of firms to compete. Irish exporters may incur bad debts if they give too much credit to some foreign customers. So what is the significance of international trade for Ireland's economy? Each year, almost 75% of Irish exports are to EU countries and about 18% of exports are to the US. Exports account for an average of 2 out of 3 jobs in the Irish manufacturing sector. Almost 70% of jobs in the manufacturing sector are dependent on exports. Food exports are essential to the agri-industry, that's the agricultural industry. If a stock surplus on the home market is to be avoided, that means a stock surplus is where you produce more than you can sell. So say, for example, the Irish farmers who produce milk or cheese, that there aren't enough people in Ireland to consume everything that they produce, so that they have to be able to export the surplus amount that they have. They have to be able to sell it abroad. The agricultural co-ops play an important role in these exports. There has been massive growth in the service industry that has led to a huge increase in invisible trade. And invisible trade is stuff you can't